Hello, GeeCON. Let's check if you can hear me. Sounds good. So, let's begin. The IT industry is facing a significant challenge. By this, I mean a lack of software engineers, especially at the senior level. This is kind of problematic because these seniors are the ones that we want and need the most in our teams. So, in a situation when we cannot hire them from outside, we need to find another way to have them in our teams. The solution to that will be that we can create environments in which the younger engineers can grow more quickly, so they become these seniors. How can we do that? The best approach will be to apply mentoring. My name is Stanisław Tokarski, and I work as a Java developer in a company called Codewise. By the way, we have a booth there close to the entrance, so feel free to come to us and have a conversation. And I also work with artificial intelligence, and I know, like everybody nowadays, but I also used to do that even before it was that cool, by cooperating with the university in Italy for the last years. Coming back to the main topic of today's talk, which is mentoring, I would like to share my thoughts and experiences on this topic from 3 different perspectives. The first one was when I was still a student, and I started working in one of the corporations, and I was about to have a mentor. After that, a few years later, after I gained some experience, I was about to mentor younger engineers in another place. And after that, this will be the perspective when I was actually mentoring others. And this will be like a summary. What were the challenges, what were the benefits, and what I consider to be the best practices in this area. So the first perspective, when I was about to have a mentor in a corporation. And I already used the word corporation a lot of times, and this was for a reason. I wanted you to wonder, before we proceed, what can a corporation have in common with governments and with parents? I cannot see you, so this will be a bit difficult to have a conversation, so I can provide you with my answer. I think that people in these communities often tend to believe that they know best what's best for others. And the worst case scenario, they also try to impose it on others then. And this was a bit my case with the mentoring. So my manager once told me, hey, we are launching a mentoring program, and you will have your own mentor, and he will tell you what to do, what to learn, so you can be a better developer here in the team. And thanks to that, you will be able to travel this path from the junior engineer through the senior engineer to the leader, and after that, you will replace me as a manager here. And I started wondering, how can it be that way, that they have the same plan for everyone in the company? I thought that maybe we can have some other plans for ourselves. So what I want to achieve will be much different than what my colleagues want to achieve. So this one approach for others was not a great option. And if this is an approach that makes a better employee here in particular team, in particular company, and at the same time, this is not focused on a general growth that a person can use elsewhere, is that really a mentoring? So my first conclusion, the role of a mentor would be to have a discussion with the person that is to be mentored. They have to agree on a path that they want to travel. The mentored person have to travel, but the role of a mentor would be to guide through that path rather than set it. Mentor, because of his experiences, can accelerate the process of the growth of a mentee, but mentor shouldn't impose any development plan. The second thought was that in a perfect scenario, we would ask someone for mentoring and not for the possibility of being someone's mentor. While we observe people at work, we can see some aspects in which our particular older colleagues can help us. If you want to grow in an area that some other person already has developed at a higher level, we can ask for help with that. Also, if we choose our mentor, we would trust such a person. And if we trust someone, we will honestly answer questions like, where do you see yourself in a year or two? And if we speak with a random person, we can treat it as a, let's say, interview for the job, not for an open relation in which we can trust someone else and really tell this person what do we need this help with. Last thing, since we consciously choose a mentor, we should know what we expect from that person. We know the areas in which we want to grow, and then if someone decides to dedicate a lot of time and effort for us, we should also do the work to think about the agenda, about the development plans. What do we need the help with? So in that case, it is mentee who should think about the plan for the development, about the agenda. Otherwise, this will be more like a coaching relation in which somebody has to tell us what should we improve, because we are not deciding on our own. However, one thing which is important here, younger people also are very enthusiastic and want to master everything at once. And this will be the role of the mentor here when planning the agenda, to help with prioritizing these things that mentee wants to develop in. Next perspective, when I was to become a mentor, this was a few years after I have this first experience with mentoring, and I was to become a mentor for younger developers. And I asked myself question, how can I do it? And my first thought was that the soft skills are still somehow neglected in the industry. And mentoring is definitely one of these soft skills. As this is still a relatively new practice, it's difficult to find some good practices, how to do it. No one teaches us how to mentor others. And this is still challenging. This was my biggest struggle. But as I continued my research, I found out that I had already experienced mentoring, both as a mentor and as a mentee, during everyday situations, without naming them explicitly. One of them was onboarding. When a new person joins a team, somebody has to demonstrate what they work with and how, which will develop some new skills of a new joiner. And it's still focused on adjusting this person to a workplace, but at the same time, there's a place for personal development, as this person will be learning something new. Another situation from our everyday lives is code review. Mentoring also consists of code reviews because we teach others how to code properly. But it's focused purely on technical growth, and the important part here is that mentoring cannot be confused with a technical development, because it's much more. We need to remember about the soft skills. A mentor should demonstrate some career possibilities that the mentee have. A mentor should help with setting the goals, with showing how to deal with everyday situations, because we not only code, we also have to communicate with others. We have to speak with business partners. We have to speak with clients. We will have to handle some conflicts in our teams. There are many situations that we all experience, and the role of the mentor would be to prepare mentee as well for stuff like that. And the last perspective, when I was actually mentoring younger software engineers, and this will be a part about the challenges we faced and the benefits that we got from it. What first comes to my mind is that mentoring requires time. And I mean a lot of time. At the same time, the results are not visible immediately, at least not for the mentor. So you can come up with a question, is it worth the investment then? And I think, yes, it is, because mentor develops many skills while he's assisting mentee. There are many good practices which are not easy to implement, and therefore this effort to put them in place also ensures the mentor's personal growth. So now we can discuss these practices. At first, what's very important, mentors should have a listening-oriented approach. Mentee often comes seeking advice or a solution, but mentor can often figure out something extra. There's not much more between the lines when we listen to our mentee, so we can add much more than the mentee believes that he or she comes to us with. And we have to believe that mentor's role will not be to solve a problem. It's rather adding a perspective or providing a broader context, which will help to solve similar problems, not only at this point, but also in the future. So we should remember that mentoring is not about giving any answers on a silver plate. We have to focus on much more. Another skill, providing actionable guidance. And what do I mean by that? It's about guidance, about feedback. If we advise or something or suggest to do something, this is actionable when the people that we provide that feedback with knows what to do after that. So if we give an advice and the other person don't know what to do it, this wasn't actionable. So it wasn't appropriate. And last thing, sometimes we do not need to protect our mentee at all costs. We can allow to make mistakes. And why? Because I believe that we learn much more from being in trouble and getting out of it than from hearing that somebody else dealt with such a situation. If we have to spend a lot of time finding a solution, this will be a more valuable lesson for us. And this is a significant responsibility of a mentor, to decide when to allow this and when to stand his ground and not to use that approach. So now I think we can sum it up, and I would like to share one thought which summarizes each of these perspectives. First one, mentoring is an individual relationship in which mentor serves as a guide, not as a teacher. And what's the difference here? A guide tells stories and leads the way. It's not about providing lessons like we used to do in schools. Second thing, mentoring is much more than technical development. Seniority is not only about the knowledge related to programming, and we need to focus much more on many more soft skills. And furthermore, at each level, we can still learn from others. When transitioning from technical to managerial roles, we can seek help from others, from those who have already walked the path. And one thing that we should remember, that even if we are already at the point when we are mentors, we can still be mentored by someone else. And last thing, in the mentoring relationship, the mentor also learns. We learn communication. We prepare ourselves for leadership roles by caring about other people and their growth. And above all, it provides satisfactions, and it allows us to repay for what we have already received from others during our paths. I think that's it. I would appreciate any evaluation or feedback. Use the QR code when you can leave a comment. And you can also reach us at the booth close to the entrance. This is the booth signed code-wise. So thank you. And yes, one question. Have you used some resources which you can advise for mentors, books, articles, blogs? Yes, I used a lot of resources when I was preparing for the role, mostly. So it was a long time ago, but I'm sure that I can discover them somewhere in my history. And of course, I can share them. So you can drop me a message and I will answer that. Okay, no more questions. Thank you.